teacher thing. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a follower of Jesus, and teaching is just one of the things I do. It's this teacher thing. So welcome back. In one of my previous videos, I talked about my strife for work-life balance and how I really need to be taking care of myself. And one of the ways I'm doing that is by going on a bit of a journey to better health. And the program that I'm using to help me do that is based on a book, and it is this book, Bright Line Eating: The Science of Living Happy, Thin, and Free by Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson. So Bright Line Eating is the structure I'm using to help myself live a healthier life. And it was developed by a professor of brain and cognitive science, Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson. And I have some notes in my lap here, so if I look down, that's why. She actually herself has a history of substance abuse, food addiction, and a long struggle with weight. And she developed this method called Bright Line Eating, sort of based on some 12-step food recovery programs she had been in the past, but she sort of took it to the next level by melding some of the concept from 12-step programs in with the science of food addiction. So in the book, I'm not going to go into all the detail. If you would like to see a really great review on this book and more detail about the science of food addiction, I suggest checking out the video made by That DIY Couple here on YouTube. She did a really awesome review of the book and discussion of the principles held within it. But I don't want this video to be way too long. I kind of want to talk about my experience with Bright Line Eating, but I will kind of go over the gist of it. So according to Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson, there's something called a susceptibility scale. And this scale, it's some questions that you can answer, and it will place you on a scale from 0 to 10, low to high, on how susceptible you are to the pull of addictive foods. And I'll try to remember to leave a link to that free quiz that you can take if you're interested below. So I took that susceptibility scale and quiz, and I was a 9. And so, there's really super interesting stuff in the book about food addiction and how the brain works and how it's a combination of all your hormones working together. But actually what happens a lot is that our hormones are actually fighting against our brain and tricking us into patterns of behavior that are actually the opposite of what we want. So the book is called Bright Line Eating because the premise is that we need something radical to help us make this transformation. With obesity rampant in our country and so many people trying to lose weight and not being successful, we can't just keep doing it the way that everybody says to do it. And everybody says everything in moderation. And so Bright Line Eating actually rejects the idea of moderation. The idea that you can have just one cookie, just 2 potato chips, just 1 slice of pizza. And there's all of this science behind it. Again, it's super interesting, but you really need to read the book. So instead of relying on our own willpower and this idea of moderation, it draws bright lines. So we draw bright lines, which are unambiguous, very clear lines that we just don't cross. Kind of the same way someone who is not a smoker never smokes, or someone who is a recovering alcoholic never has a drink. It's a line that you just don't cross. And so for Bright Line Eating, there are 4 bright lines. The first is sugar, second is flour, the third is meals, and the fourth is quantities. So I'll briefly explain each of those. The bright line of sugar is we don't eat any sugar. Actually, no type of sweetener added to your food. So no stevia, no Truvia, no Splenda, no saccharin, no agave, no maple syrup, no honey, nothing added to your food to make it sweet, not just white sugar. Anything added to your food to make it sweet. The science has shown that any type of sweetener still triggers the brain for addictive patterns the same way as actual sugar does. So no type of sweetener. The only sweet things you can eat are actual whole fruit, not even smoothies, because smoothies are too processed. So whole fruit is your only sweet thing. Second is flour. And again, like with sugar, no type of flour is permissible. So there's a bright line for flour. No almond flour, no oat flour, no gluten-free flour, coconut flour, no kinds of flour are a part of this program, because flour has shown to have the same addictive properties as sugar. They're both highly refined, and they both cause the same reactions in the brain. The third bright line is meals, which means eliminate snacking. So this is a huge culprit for me, is that I have always believed in and been told that you need to eat 6 small meals throughout the day, and every time that I would feel hungry, even a teeny bit, I would get a snack. So with bright line eating, we have a bright line for meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner. Now, if you have a medical condition that requires you to eat more frequently, there's a way to modify the plan, but you have to stick to whatever plan you create. There's no willy-nilly eating. So you're never just saying, oh, I kind of feel hungry, I think I'll go get something to eat. All of your food you plan out the night before in a food journal. Write down your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and then the next day you eat only that. You don't make any decisions on the day of eating about what you're going to eat. No snacking: breakfast, lunch, dinner. The fourth bright line is quantities. So with Dr. Pierce Thompson's program, she does provide for you what you should be eating at each meal in specific quantities. And it's her recommendation that you use a food scale to weigh the portions. The reason for this is, as human beings, we are really terrible at eyeballing our portions, and our understanding of how much a person should eat is really skewed. Some people are not eating enough, especially when it comes to vegetables and fruits, and most of us are eating way too much. So we need to be measuring, and you might think that that feels really restrictive, as I did, but actually, as I'm going to get into later, there's a lot of freedom that comes with actually measuring it out and having a really clear plan about how much of each type of food you're going to eat at each meal. So in this program, you can actually take the susceptibility quiz, as I said before. They also have some videos online that you can watch. There's some free videos called the Food Freedom video series. And then there's tons of videos on YouTube. So I read the book. I binge watched every video online that I could find about bright line eating. And I decided this was something I wanted to try. Now, there is an 8-week boot camp that you can sign up for, and it's quite expensive. So I opted not to do that, but there is a 14-day challenge that I think was like $29, and I did sign up for that. So I'm actually at the end of my 14-day challenge, and I thought that I would report out to you about how that's going. So the first thing you might be wondering is, was I hungry during my 14-day challenge? So in the beginning, I did have some stomach pains between meals as I was learning not to snack. And they were quite painful the first couple of days, and I really had to, drink some herbal tea, drink water. But what I found was that it was kind of like this rise and fall. Like I would hit the peak of those pains, but then if I could ride that out, it would go away, and I would be fine for hours more until it was time to actually eat my next pre-planned meal. And then the quantities that are prescribed were surprisingly filling, especially at dinner, where you're eating a huge portion of vegetables. Luckily, I love vegetables, so that was great for me. If you don't like vegetables, it might be really hard to get all the vegetables down. But after each of my meals, I never felt like, oh man, I'm still super hungry. I always felt satisfied after my meals. And then as time went on, it got to where between meals, I wasn't having any hunger pains anymore. What did I miss the most while I've been on my 14-day challenge? The hardest thing for me has been the bright line of sugar, and not really sugar as in cookies, cakes, and donuts, but just in sweetener. I have been used to, for years, using lots of stevia as a sweetener, especially like in my coffee, in my tea, in my oatmeal. And I'm not allowed to have stevia, it's a sweetener, on Bright Line Eating. And so I found that without sweetener, I don't like coffee. And without sweetener, I think oatmeal is disgusting. So I have really missed having sweetener. I have switched to drinking green tea, and there's like flavored herbal teas. They still don't have that much flavor. But that's what I switched to because I just cannot stomach black coffee. It's gross to me. I really want it sweet. So sweetener is the thing that I have missed the most. What was the hardest? It's my next question. The hardest part was that I decided to start Bright Line Eating before the end of the year. So I started on December 28th. And what I didn't know is that some relatives were going to come into town. We thought they weren't coming, and then they decided to come, which was awesome because we love our family. But with family coming is junk food and going out to eat and fast food and cooking for fun and wanting to celebrate the holidays. And I was really committed to doing this 14-day challenge. And so this is normally a really fun time to get to go to restaurants because my family and I don't go to restaurants very often, but I had to actually pack up my Bright Line meals and bring them with me to the restaurant, or a couple of times I just didn't go with the family because I didn't feel like I could make a good decision, and that was okay with me. I wasn't saddened by that. I actually ended up being really proud of myself for sticking to the plan. I never broke a bright line for sugar or flour over my whole 14-day challenge. And actually the only thing I sort of did break was that one night I really needed to take some ibuprofen, and I cannot take ibuprofen on an empty stomach. It will make me nauseous. So I ate like 3 little walnuts so that I could take the ibuprofen and not get sick. And the walnuts, it wasn't a time to eat. That would have been a snack, but I had to eat so I wouldn't be sick. So I forgive myself for that. What have I really enjoyed? I have really enjoyed planning my food the day before and then choosing to follow that plan and eat only that the next day. That is really where some food freedom comes in for me, because there are no choices to make. All the choices about what to eat, I already made the day before. So I don't need to think about what am I gonna eat tonight for dinner, or, ooh, what could I go make for a snack? There's no choices to make. I don't even have to really use willpower on a daily basis. You know, I had to use willpower when I was sticking to my Bright Line meal while my family is eating French fries and cake. But it was very clear to me what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to eat what was on my plan. So I just have, it's actually downstairs, I just have a spiral little like, I don't know, 5x7 spiral notebook where I write down the night before, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the correct quantities based on the Bright Line Eating plan. By the way, I do want to mention that Bright Line Eating is really conducive to many types of eating. I choose to eat mostly plant-based, although I occasionally do have dairy and I do eat fish. So I guess I'd be pescatarian actually, but I don't eat, you know, beef, chicken, pork, turkey, any of those. So it's been super easy for me to follow. They give you a whole list of plant-based options in the plan, so don't be worried about that. Another thing I've enjoyed is part of the program that Susan Pierce Thompson really recommends is developing a habit of gratitude. So in addition to a food journal, I bought just the composition book here that I'm using as my gratitude journal. And I'm just doing 3 things. So I have just written out, I'll show you a blank page. I have just written out, no, you can't see it, hello. I've written out the date and skipped lines and said 1, 2, 3. And every night I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And I'm a follower of Jesus. You know, I am always thankful to God for everything. So I write down not just I'm thankful for, but I write down thank you God for, because I believe that all my blessings come from Him. And so I want to be expressing my thanks to Him. And this is a habit I've wanted to develop. And so this is really a great way that I'm doing that. I really enjoyed that with the 14-day challenge, Dr. Thompson sends you in your email box a link to a video every day. So every day I would get up, I would look at my food journal about what I was supposed to make for breakfast. I would make my breakfast, sit down to eat my breakfast, and then turn on my video from Dr. Thompson and enjoy my breakfast while also getting motivation, inspiration, and science. She would share some of the science each day, and I just loved that. I wish those videos would continue. I know that if you sign up for the boot camp, you get lots of videos like that. She's just really inspiring, and she looks at food addiction, which is really what I think I have a problem with, is food addiction. She looks at it in such a different light. So I really did enjoy the videos. All right, did anything surprise me? Yes, I was very surprised at the realization that I was used to putting food in my mouth every time I felt a teeny weeny bit of hunger. I didn't realize how much I had become a wimp about a little bit of a feeling of hunger. I really had. I had gotten to where if my stomach had a teeny bit of an ache, I would get a snack right away. And that might mean that I was snacking like 4 or 5 times a day, who knows? I could not tolerate the feeling of hunger or a little grumble in my stomach. So that was super surprising to me. But what was also surprising was how quickly I could adapt to this new bright line of meals, only having breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think it really only took around 4 or 5 days for my stomach to get used to that. And I'm actually on day 15 now, so I've completed the 14-day challenge, and I don't have any hunger pains. And even if I do a little bit, I'm really able to tell when it's hunger and when it's thirst. I can really tell the difference. And also I'm able to kind of, ride the wave of hunger. Like if there's a little bit of a feeling of hunger, I can kind of ignore it for a bit, do something else that I need to be working on, and then I'm like, oh, I wasn't really hungry. Like it went away. Also, that I was surprised that I really have not had sugar cravings. I haven't been, I go grocery shopping. It's not like I'm looking at the bakery aisle and like mouth watering, really wishing I could have that. And I'm not ever sitting around thinking about a food I wish I could eat. I honestly don't think about food. My food is already planned for me. And so I just don't even think about it until it's time to actually go make it and eat it. And so that has been really freeing to me. So I bet that you are wondering if I actually lost any weight in these 14 days and how I'm feeling and what my results are and what I'm thinking about bright line eating. So actually, yes, I have. I have lost in these 2 weeks 7.8 pounds, which is really shocking to me. I lost like 5.3 pounds in the first week, and then the other 2.5 pounds in the second week. And I am usually someone who is such a turtle at losing weight. So that's been really great for me. I know that typically when you start weight loss, you'll lose extra in the beginning due to water weight and salt and bloating and all this stuff, but girl, I will take that loss. So 7-8 pounds in 2 weeks, which is awesome. I can pretty much say that it was easy, except for the beginning when I was first starting and my family was here. That's been the hardest part. But otherwise, I'm also super lucky. My husband has been really supportive, but I have not really found this to be a struggle. It's been pretty easy, and I've seen weight loss. Also, like I said before, I'm not really having cravings. I'm not having hunger pains. My stomach feels fine. I've always had like IBS issues, being gassy, being bloated, being kind of crampy all the time, no matter what time of the month it is. I always had this uncomfortableness in my gut. And since being on Bright Line Eating for these 2 weeks, I really feel like that is gone. I just have this like lightness in my, digestive system that's so much better. And I just love that. Because of that, I feel like I just feel better. So it makes me feel like I have more energy and I want to do more things. Although I have been a little tired, Dr. Thompson talks about how losing weight is actually a real strain on the body and can make you tired. And so I have found that I've been kind of sleepy, but it's not the kind of tired that comes from your body weighing you down. It's just been oh, I'm tired, I need a good rest tonight, and my sleep has been good as well. So where am I now? That might be your next question. What are my plans? I would really love to do the 8-week boot camp. And as I mentioned before, it's pretty pricey. And so my plan right now is to continue on with the Bright Line Eating methods that I've learned. And I'm hoping that there's some way, if I talk with my husband and we maybe make a plan, that we could save up the money for me to do the boot camp, because I think it's really worthwhile. Through the boot camp, you get to be a part of private Facebook groups where you get lots of social support, and there's just so much more that comes with the boot camp course, and more things that you're taught, especially about what to do to bring yourself into a lifetime of maintenance. And I think that's where a lot of programs fall short. In the Bright Line Eating book, there is a whole chapter on maintenance and how that's going to change your food plan. But Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson talks about how that is actually the hard work. The hard work is the maintenance phase. That losing the weight is pretty easy. A lot of us have lost the weight before. I have, but only to gain it back. And so what is it that we need to do to create this lifetime of eating habits that can continue forever, so we can stay free from food obsession, free from this extra weight, and healthy? Her little phrase is healthy, thin, and free. But so that we can be healthy for our lives. So I'm really interested in this extra support for the maintenance phase. One thing I forgot to mention is that Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson actually suggests that you not exercise during the weight loss phase. And when I heard that, I was like, woohoo, because I don't want to exercise. I actually do kind of like going for walks and I like weightlifting, but her take on this, and there's lots of science to prove it, again, watch her videos, read the book, is that going into an exercise program depletes your willpower. So having the mentality and the energy and the willpower to work out 5 days a week, to get up early or to go at night or whatever it is, to get to the gym, to play those videos in your living room, but to stick to your exercise plan while also sticking to a very intense new eating plan would just completely deplete your willpower altogether, and you would probably give up. So in Bright Line Eating, you actually are told to pretend like you have bunny slippers on for your weight loss phase. And of course, we all have to live our lives and do all the crazy busy things that moms and teachers do. But to be easy on yourself, take it easy on yourself while you're losing weight, because losing weight is really taxing on the body and taxing on the brain. And after you've lost the majority of your weight and you're really comfortable with the methods of Bright Line Eating and you're not having to think about it, and a lot of your new behaviors are automatic, then you can introduce some exercise in. You know, Dr. Thompson says, oh yes, exercise is so good for you. You definitely need exercise. She's not saying exercise is bad. She's just saying that actually during the weight loss phase, you just put that exercise on hold because it's just too taxing for your mind and your body, and you're more likely to give up. So I'm excited about that. My hope is that I will be able to continue with this program, lose the extra pounds I've been wanting to lose, and then pick back up with some weight training and walking, because those are the two forms of exercise that I really enjoy, that I think I could stick with, and because I really feel like the benefits of weight training are great. So I'm excited to do that. That is where I'm looking in the future. I plan to continue with bright line eating, and if anyone's interested, I could continue to make videos and post updates about how that's going. I think that would be a great way for me to hold myself accountable to do that. And if you want to know more about bright line eating, here are my recommendations. First, get the book Bright Line Eating and read it. I read mine cover to cover in like 2 days because I was so excited about it. Go online and take the susceptibility quiz. It's free. I'll try to link it below. Watch the Food Freedom video series. That's also free, and if I can get a link, I'll put that below. And try the 14-day challenge if you're really interested in it. I have really loved it, and I feel like I'm just on a really good roll for the beginning of 2019, and I'm excited to see what's in the future. So I made this video to kind of tell you about how I felt about my experience so far with Bright Line Eating, but also to reinforce the idea that as teachers and moms and wives and people who are active in our churches and our communities, we have to take care of ourselves if we're going to be any good to anyone else. So self-care is so important for teachers, and I hope that you are making strides to take care of yourself in 2019 so that you'll have the best year yet. All right, guys, that's all for today. Hope to see you next time here on This Teacher Thing. Bye.